Welcome to the best of first-person episodes from Phantoms and Monsters. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified of all future uploads.
Glimmer Man and Black Orb encountered at Lake Jacomo, Missouri. I have a couple experiences, one with a translucent entity, that I would like to share with you. While my main concern is seeking answers to what exactly I have witnessed while visiting Lake Jacomo, Missouri on two separate occasions, the second one being dark energies or black-gray orbs. The first incident was right around 4 years ago. I know this because the other day I found the citation I had received on my car for being at the lake past closing time, which is sunset. Finding it brought the feelings I had experienced that night, and for several months, even years, afterwards back to me. These feelings consist of a deep need to know, almost to the point of obsession, what I and other people have seen as well. I need answers. So let me explain. My boyfriend and I were at Lake Jacomo, sometime in April 2017. I could tell you the exact date if I had the citation in front of me, but it's put up. Anyway, he and I love to be out in nature digging up plants, to replant in the yard or picking flowers. Just enjoying being out in nature. We also collect things like rocks, interesting ones, crystals, also driftwood and my favorite arrowheads. Things like that. We also collect old bottles, and you can find most of these things there. So, it was probably around 6 p.m. on that spring night when we arrive at the lake. The sun doesn't set until about 7:30 or 8 p.m. That's when they lock the gates. And it's posted. Thinking about it is funny, because they only lock down part of the lake. The rest of the lake you can go to all night long, anytime. We mess around, find a snake and video it. Then I go my own way looking for something cool to add to our collection, and my boyfriend stays up on a rock cliff face. I venture down into the area below where he is, and go around a corner. We're probably 50 feet apart, but I can't see him, and he can't see me. He told me that he heard a splash in the water, just a good 10 minutes, after I went down to where I was, which I wasn't even near the water, and he thought maybe it was me messing with him, but I know it wasn't. And he thought he felt a presence of something, and maybe saw movements out of his peripherals, which he also then again thought it was me. He looked and didn't see anything, so then his mind started wondering or thinking that I was somehow doing some sort of magic, or something and messing with his head, which isn't something that I would do, because I'm not a practitioner of witchcraft at all. So, he says he hollers for me. Calls my name several times and I didn't hear him not one time. I didn't hear anything, and so eventually he comes down and finds me. At this point it's after dark. So, we walked over toward my car to leave. But before we go, he decides to go down to the water, to do whatever it was he wanted to do. That's when I found a citation on my car for being there after curfew, which I just found the other day, and it reminded me of this whole thing all over again. My car, which is parked roughly 45 feet down off the road. The road is on a curve with a guardrail. I am also parked about 35 feet from the water where he is. I'm standing by my car when I hear what I assume is someone walking up on the road. It definitely sounded bipedal footsteps crunching leaves. I mean, clearly, I can hear the leaves and the little twigs breaking, so it's obvious to me that somebody was up there and wanted me to know it. They weren't trying to be stealthy. But when I look up there, at first, I didn't see anything. But as I'm watching and listening and hearing, I begin to make out like a shimmery see-through moving thing. To me it looked like water moving. When I say walking I mean I could see its movements, and it was seemingly moving forward in walking fashion. It was crunching the leaves. It had mass and some weight behind it, even though it was practically invisible. I mean I could see it, but it was definitely clear and translucent. There's just enough light behind it, coming from the street light, that I could see it shimmer as it moved. It seemed to be about 10 to 12 foot tall, but I'm not the best judge of those things. I kept looking, trying to figure out what it is I'm looking at. I'm hearing it, and it's definitely walking. I can totally hear it, and see something, and I'm about a 45 to 50 feet down from where it is. It wasn't trying to be quiet, so it wanted me to know it was there. So my boyfriend comes up towards me and I say, "Hey babe, I think there's somebody up there. Why don't you check it out?" My boyfriend is bold and pretty much fearless, and I know he can handle himself. At that time I didn't feel there was any danger, or I wouldn't have sent him up there. So he walks up there. I didn't tell him what I was thinking, or what I saw either, because I wasn't sure at that point, and I didn't want him to think I was crazy. Also I needed some personal confirmation that I'm not crazy. He goes up there, checks it out and comes back down. I asked him If there was somebody up there. He's like, there was something up there, and my stomach just drops. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm really not crazy, and you saw it too. And he's like, yeah, I did. What was it? He said he didn't know exactly, and it just stepped over the guardrail and was gone. At that point I'm like, okay, let's go, and we get into the car and we leave. That's when I start getting really freaked out for some reason. I don't know why, but I became overwhelmingly scared right then, because I didn't know what it was, and he confirmed what I thought I saw. There was something invisible walking and watching us, and clearly it wanted us to know that it was there. So we get around to the gate that they locked, and we're supposed to be out of there. He walks away from me trying to find somebody to open the gate, but there's nobody there. I'm freaking out the whole time, because he left me in the car by myself and I thinking it's going to come back and get me. He eventually comes back to the car and we ended up driving around the big stones they placed around the gate to keep people in or out. We found a way out, and I was terrified the whole time, mainly because I didn't know what it was, and I never seen anything like that before, or heard of anything like that before. But we got out of there, and I was obsessed for the longest time with figuring out what it was. I googled it everything I could think of, and I came across your accounts about some witness encounters with invisible things in the woods. And I'm sure people thought I was nuts for a while, because I was talking about it, because I wanted to know what it was. My boyfriend wouldn't talk about it with anyone. He would barely talk about it with me. And there I was obsessed over it. Eventually I just got tired of looking without finding any answer, so I kind of put it out of my mind. Okay, so that was the first experience at Lake Jacomo. The other one was just a couple months ago, when I went to the lake all by myself. And on this day there was nobody out there. I could have screamed, and there would have been nobody near enough to hear me. The overall energy was a little unnerving. I typically walk down a certain trail, and I go down by the water. I look for driftwood, and then I go back up to the trail, and keep walking around checking on my little spots for gorgeous driftwood I can't live without. That day it just felt different. I felt uneasy, and I thought I heard somebody holler something while I was down by the water, but I didn't see anybody. I know for a fact that there were no cars parked at the trailhead when I came down just moments before. I can remember feeling like I needed to constantly be aware of my surroundings. But eventually I'm not paying attention to my surroundings while searching for items. I thought I saw a bird flying from one tree to another out of my peripherals when I looked up, but there was nothing there. It happened several times, so I got my phone out and I started recording. And I went on for about 20 minutes. When I got home I went over my video footage. Lo and behold, I caught a black orb. I know I saw it following me around. I caught it no less than 14 times on 3 different videos. Plus there were a couple other different anomalies, and I would like to know what they are, and what it meant. K.
Troll, Bigfoot or Glimmer man roaming woods in Gubbangen, Sweden. A friend and I went to the woods to barbecue over a fire as we do now, and then all year around. I live in Stockholm, Sweden, and the woods we go to lies next to a lot of apartments in Gubbangen. I have always been into the Sasquatch Bigfoot subject, and I know it is real. We have them here in Sweden as well. What people refer to as trolls here is the same as Bigfoot or Sasquatch, same being different names. However, my friend and I went into the woods to a specific place we always go to when we make our fire, barbecue and drink beer. After a while, when the fire was started, I grabbed a big stick, went to a tree, and knocked it hard 3 times. 10 minutes pass, and further into the woods I see this orb just appear, and hovers about 3 meters off the ground. I stare at it, and I think to myself that is not a person with a flashlight, or anything like that at all. The orb just hovered at the same spot and then disappeared. I thought to myself, weird shit is about to go down. Time passes and darkness has fallen over the woods. We sit in front of the fire when we hear a weird noise. My friend asks if I had heard that. I looked over the fire into the darkness and saw 2 yellow eyes glowing in the darkness staring at us. I said, "Do you see those glowing eyes staring at us?" He confirmed that he did. "That is not a human or an animal," I said, and he agreed. We stared at it for 30 seconds when it suddenly moves away, almost floating, leaving traces from the glowing eyes. I was creeped out. 1 week later we go to the same spot and it's dark. The fire is lit when we suddenly start to hear tree breaks from the woods, thick tree breaks. It starts from the left and moves to the right in circles around us. The tree breaks keep moving around us and gets closer and then gets quiet for a couple of minutes. All of a sudden 15 meters to the right of us a big freaking tree break echoes through the woods. My friend quickly stood up when this 5-meter-long log crashes into a big rock behind us. Suddenly something then appears behind us and smashes the log with another log. We jump back and away. This thing hit the upper part of the log, which means that this thing was huge and strong as hell. My friend turns on the flashlight and looks around. We see nothing and it's quiet. When we walked around in the woods, we were loud as hell, twigs breaking and tons of other sounds under our feet. But this thing moves fast, silently around us. That's the scary part as well. We were scared as hell and quickly left. One other time when I was walking on a track, 2 stones comes flying from above and lands in front of me. I look up into the trees and see this transparent shaped thing in the trees, and then it just disappears. Gee.
This is Lon Strickler. If you like this program, it would help us if you would give it a thumbs up. Then subscribe and click the bell icon so you get notification when we upload new first-person encounters. We have many more to come very soon. And by the way, if you have a suggestion or an experience of your own, please leave a comment.